Well, hello. I don't know if you all can. Well, hello, everybody. Uh, I am Erica Lane. I am the CPO and of Global Problems, where we help entrepreneurs make data-backed decisions because who wants to use feeling you can use tax? Price with power, find a hidden profit in their business. They think that they're making. We actually know a bunch of clients because who has time for that? I don't. And I'm super excited about what we're going to do here. We're going to talk about your business making money, but the decisions that you're making feeling a lot heavier. Hello. We are live on a number of platforms. So if you see me kind of moving around, it's kind of the way it is. So the thing is, when you have a business and it's increasing revenue, most of the time people are like, oh, just make more money, as if making more money is going to solve all the problems. If I had a dime for every time somebody just said, oh, yeah, just make more money, it'll solve the problem. I probably could have solved the problem because I've had the money to do it. And I've got to be honest with you, it is not just about making more money. And I know there are folks who are going to be like, did she say that? Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Because the truth is, making money does not solve all problems. It just doesn't. You need to do a little bit more than just make money in your business. And entrepreneurs are finding that out each and every day because the social media has lied to many folks and said that this was easy. Being an entrepreneur is not easy, but it is rewarding when you do it right. And so I want you to know, revenue does not equal profit. That's number one. Those two things are not the same. If you've followed me for a little while, you've heard me speak on stages, you've been around for a bit, you know that I always say revenue minus expense equals profit because that is the equation. Like, people try to get fancy about it, but that is the equation. The equation is revenue minus expenses will give you your profit. Now, what those expenses are, that's a whole other conversation for a whole nother day. But entrepreneurs have to understand that if you are bringing in great revenue, that does not mean that you're going to keep a lot of that money. And so oftentimes we hear people talk about 6-figure, 7-figure earners, but the back end of that is oftentimes they're not keeping all of that money. So, but again, that's not what we're here for today. Today we're going to talk about those decisions. We're going to talk about your business is making money. So why doesn't your decisions feel lighter? And number one is because revenue doesn't equal easier decisions. The funny thing about decision making in business is that it has impact on other things. Every decision that you make impacts other aspects of the business. And that is what it is. And as an entrepreneur, you have to know that every decision, every yes, every no makes an impact on the business. And people feel like, oh, well, if I just make more money, then the decisions get easier. And I've got to be honest with you, they don't. Because when you make more money, now you have more invested into the business. Now you may have grown your team. So now people are depending on you to make money in the business so they can get a paycheck. Now, every decision that you make with that revenue, now you have to decide what investments you're going to make. So those decisions don't get lighter, they just change. They shift from how do I make money to how do I generate income so that I can sustain the business that I have and then grow it. And the decisions are heavier in that aspect because they're larger decisions and more money. I mean, Biggie said more problems ish, depending on what you're doing, but there are more decisions that have to be made that have larger impacts. And so you have to be clear about the decisions that you're making and the impact that it has on your business, for those decisions. The second thing is the difference between a revenue strategy and the profit strategy, because revenue strategy is get money, get money, get money. Profit strategy teaches you how to keep more of that money. So what is it that we have at the end of the day? Like after we have paid everybody, because be out here in the streets paying folk. All right, pay folk. You have for the can you first of all that like, and so be out here paying people, to get the services and the products and services that you need to build your business. But most business owners have one or are missing the other, meaning they want the profit strategy just to say, okay, they can keep how much money they get to keep. But what they don't have is a revenue strategy in order to increase their revenue. Or they have the revenue strategy, but they're not thinking about, well, what happens after I pay all these expenses? What am I getting to keep? And here's the thing about entrepreneurship. People love to say that they're business owners and they love to say they're entrepreneurs, but I know for a fact, one time for sure, two times for certain, is that if the people in your household feel like this business is not supporting your life or taking more of you than what's being brought back into that household, there is going to be some situations and complications. There's definitely going to be that. I know that firsthand because it happened to me. And there's some serious conversations that had to happen, some serious changes that had to be made. But you need to have both a revenue strategy and a profit strategy. Now, thankfully, you know me, and I can deliver both with excellence and grace. And so, definitely you don't have that problem where you don't know anybody who can help you. But you need to have both strategies. And if you are not in a space where you have both strategies, that's a conversation we need to have to accelerate your business. No idea why that keeps coming up. I don't know. Then the third thing is you have to start making decisions from data instead of your bank balance. Yep, from data instead of your bank balance. One of the things I had a team member of mine poll was, was the analytics of my social media. I had Tiffany poll what the analytics were for my social media, and it actually surprised me a lot. Like it really, because what I thought the data was going to say was that Instagram was my highest earning and highest interactions and all that kind of good stuff, but it's not from my data today. And we're making decisions based on that data. We're not thinking about the bank balance, because the bank balance is for budgets. Every business should have a budget. There should be a budget. So looking at your bank balance should not even be worried. Why? Because you should have a budget for your business. You should know what you're spending, and where you're spending it each and every month on your business, annually in your business. You should be very clear with that. And if you're not, again, that's a conversation we need to have, because you're operating your business like a side hustle, and just whatever comes in, we'll figure it out. That's not what business is. Business should have budgets. Every year, every company that you've ever worked for in your life, they had what? A budget. I'm sure, and I'm sure they had budget meetings. I'm sure they have a fiscal year, when that budget starts, when that budget ends. And for your business, it should be the same thing. It should be, you have a fiscal year that starts. I know when my fiscal year starts every year and ends every year. Be clear about that thing, and you're not making decisions based on what's in the bank account and not on what the needs of the business to progress and to get it to the goals and the vision for what you have. Because a bank balance tells you where you are, not where you go next. Okay. And so you want to make sure that you're doing that. For me, when revenue comes in, it comes into one account, and that account has one job. After the money comes in, it has one job, and that job is to disperse that money to the different accounts that it belongs in. Disperse that money to the tax account, because nobody want no problems. Disperse that money to the operations account. because nobody wants those problems. We want to make sure that we're operating the business properly. Payroll, because we want to make sure that we're paying folks. Amen. So make sure that we are paying people. Making sure that it goes to the investment account for the future version of what the business is going to look like. And so you have to be genuinely clear about the data behind your business. And Zeph, who pulls all of our data, pulls information every day that matters to my target audience, feeds me data every day so that I'm clear on what matters to my audience. Do you think that makes me more efficient as a business owner? Absolutely. Absolutely, because I have data. And when you have data, you then can make decisions that are proper and right. When you don't have data, you out here guessing. Yep, I said it. You out here guessing. You out here guessing. You need data. Number 4 is what profitable decision certainty looks like for you. You need to be clear on what that looks like. Like what decisions do you need to make to ensure that your business is profitable? What certainty looks like? The reality is you have to trust your numbers. Once you get data, real data, because I know in these streets sometimes information don't be information, but you have to get trusted sources of data. And then based on the data, not your feelings, but based on the data, what decisions do you need to make and be confident and certain in those decisions? Again, like I said, Zeph sends me information every day, and it helps me make better decisions each and every day. Okay, do we need to pivot something? Do we need to, maybe we shouldn't do this launch because this is what's happening in the world based on our target audience. We're clear about that because we have data. And in the world of AI and in the world of technology, there is no reason why we don't have data for our businesses. And if you need help pulling data that matters to your business, let me know. I can help you do that as well. And here's the thing. Most business owners are not making bad decisions. That's not what I'm saying here. They're making uninformed decisions. And the cost of that gap is sitting quietly in your profit margin right now. I know that, but not having proper data and running your business is running a business blindfolded. Blindfolded. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be on the road with nobody that's blindfolded. I don't need you behind the wheel. Listen, sir or ma'am, not blindfolded. Right? Because you can't see where you're going or what's happening around you when you don't have data. And it's the same thing if you were blindfolded, you can't see where you're going and what's happening around you because you're blindfolded. And that's what it is when you are running your business without proper and strategic data. So your decisions feel heavier because you don't have the proper data. Things like, what matters to your target audience? That's a big data point that you should know. What do they like? Their psychographics, the demographics, all of those things. Do you have data on that? And do you know what's important to them? And on a consistent basis, what else can you find out about your target audience? What are they reading? What are they pulling their information from? Do you know all of these things? And when you do, the decisions become lighter because you have the data to back it up. When you have data to back it up, you have confidence. When you have confidence, you can be strategic. When you can be strategic, you can be profitable. So I want you to join us. We're going to have more amazing conversation, but a lot of these conversations will be in the Profit VIP suite. Let's see if I can be technical, y'all, and drop the link in my in the chat. Let's see. Y'all know me. Y'all know with these lives. But we're going to have that in the Profit VIP suite. Make sure that you join us there. We're going to be having a lot of conversations about profit management, pricing, how to increase profitability, and we'll be talking about AI. We'll be talking about so many different things. So join us in the Profit VIP suite. Until then, I'll see you later. But remember, it's not about the revenue that you generate. It is all about the profit that you get to keep. My name is Erica Lane. I'm the Chief Profit Officer at Global Profit Solutions, where we help entrepreneurs like you find the hidden profit in your business, price with power, and make data-backed decisions. See you then.